Another round of 16. First game of the series between these two players. A lucky draw for both of them. But one of them will come out on top. Will it be the loser player here, spawning in the top right hand corner on 2000 atmospheres? Playing for Dragon Phoenix Gaming, it is Dark. And in the opposite corner, playing for Alpha X, it's the Red Protoss, the idol of the fans nowadays. It is Zoun. What an incredible matchup. Like, usually do not expect this out of a run of 16. Something you would expect maybe from a semi-final. Or even just a run of 8. Like, run of 16, it's just a little bit too harsh on both of them. But eventually these kind of things happen in tournaments. And it happened to them. Of course, we still have to say, like, Dark is going to be the favorite. There is no work around that. Dark is just one of the best players that ever touched this game. He is so experienced. Former world champion. He's just a real big threat for anyone. Zoun is a little bit less experienced than his opponent. And overall, I'd say he has an incredibly high potential. Like, Zoun has really the potential to become one of the best players on the world, but right now, there's still a couple obstacles, and players such as Dark are one of them. Not to say that Zoun cannot win this series, because even if I say Dark is the favorite, I still think like it's a 55 to 45%, maybe 60 to 40. It's still pretty close. Of course, we have nothing really strange. I'm kind of curious about the Wolof from Zoun. This will leave the cybernetic core a little bit too exposed. I'm not super sure about that. But in the end, like, it's not a major threat, especially since Dark doesn't really like to play aggressive lanes in the early game. At least not anymore. This is a Stargate opener on the side of Zoun. Of course, the atmosphere is a fairly large map. It is a very good choice to go Stargate over here. It's always a good choice to go Stargate, and I love this rally point as well. Like, this is almost certainly going to be an Oracle. There's almost nothing else that you want to rally right there if it isn't an Oracle. Dark is going to take his third base. And I don't feel like he has many lanes, it's just the 4 of them, so he doesn't really want to put up some pressure to the other bases that... Wait. Oh, Adept in the main actually getting some heads. Good micro by Dark, but this is yeah, you don't want to kill a 7 in school. And the first Oracle, it is almost out. Here it is. There's a little bit of a supply block on the side of Zoun, which was at least a little bit funny. But in the end, the Oracle pops out. There's a Void Ray incoming to deny some vision. Dark knows it and he's starting to move his overloads where you can defend them. And this Oracle heading straight into the natural, which finishes just about now. There's quite a lot of Quincy already in position for Dark. I don't really see Zoun getting too much damage with his Oracle. Of course, a little bit of scouting information, it's fine. Seeing this lair already get started this early in the game, it's a very huge piece of information. Getting to drones, of course, not the biggest thing possible. So some atmospheres just as the most incredible, like, amount of dead airspace behind the bases. So this Oracle could potentially stay there for the whole of his life. And like the immediate reaction by Zoun, second Stargate against an early lair, it's an interesting choice. We see Zoun already pumping out the second Void Ray, and I'm not too sure if that's for defense for the Twilight Console. That's getting to the natural, getting a couple drones, trying to slow down Dark's early lair play as much as possible. It's overall an interesting choice from both players. Dropping down the Revelation, very good choice. It does not see the Hydra then, unfortunately. But it's still a very good Revelation. Link's trying to shark for some damage. The stability score, again, is very exposed, as are these probes transferring to the fur base. Void Rays come back home, it's 2 of them. Dark is going to see that. He's going to see the amount of firepower that Zoun will be able to dish out in just a little while with these many Void Rays pumping out. And I already love how Zoun is playing this. It's very, very clever. Going for double Stargate into charge and +1 ground weapons is just... Hydras don't do very well against charge lots. Surprisingly enough, I guess. Charge lots just absolutely melt through Hydras. They have higher health, higher damage, higher reach power, higher speed. They just get chipped down by Hydras in the beginning of the fight, but there's Void Rays for that. So... Templar Archives incoming as well. Beautiful, beautiful counterplay by Zoun. I don't really see Dark in a very good position right here. He doesn't have enough army. He doesn't have enough bases. It's just on 3 bases, just like Zoun. And the one thing I don't like about Zoun play is the lack of gateway. These gateways are seriously too late. And it might hurt a little. It might hurt a little, not gonna lie. It doesn't look like Dark is looking for any aggressive maneuver. He's just looking for a chance to snipe down Void Rays once Zoun decides to put his feet on the throttle, which is not really happening, to be honest. Zoun is just preparing the perfect counter. And once again, Dark not really getting to a hive tech. He's getting a Roach Warren because he's fearing the charge a lot. Transition. As well as Storm, I guess. But the thing I'm most worried about for Dark is the lack of an infestation pit at 730. That could hurt. Not getting a hive out in time for Lurker, then upgrades, might be a little too detrimental. As well as Vipers, of course. Vipers are also a pretty good choice. Not that they can make a lot once feedback is available. Narcon being morphed in, many more gateways pumped out by Zoun. Was looking for blood. He knows there's not many Hydras over here. These charge lots are way more than enough. And Zoun preparing to strike again. Another Revelation gets dropped. The surround with the Hydras is not a real thing, I guess. There's only one Oracle exposed. Here comes the Archon, the Storm, the Charge Lots. Void Rays bringing the fight to the Queens. Beautiful stones going left and right. It looks like Dark might have gone around this. And the Warp Prism is really exposed. It might go down. It doesn't go down. It was very unlucky for Dark. But in the end, Zoun was forced to retreat with too many of his own units. These Void Rays are not doing much, by the way. And now it really looks like Dark is stabilized to a fairly decent army. These roaches coming in clutch. And it's looking like Dark wants to go for the counterattack. I was idly underestimating the army supply that Dark was slowly but steadily building up to. And no +2 ground weapons was really, really bad thing to Zoun. Now he still has a couple storms available. It's not like these roaches can't survive forever against the Void Rays, and there's not a lot of Hydras. So it's time for these charge lots to shine. More charge lots being warped in at a time, and now here comes the storms. Void Rays cannot get too close. The Hydras are still too much of a threat. The 7-8 score is about to go down. There's an Immortal out right now to help with this. Oh, these High Templars are a little bit too exposed. One of them might fall, and it does fall. It was the one with the most energy. No storms dropped for their retreat. And now this Immortal is in real danger. The shield battery keeps it alive. Charge lots getting warped in and doing as much damage as they can. Beautiful storms hitting on the whole army of Dark. But it doesn't look like that there's much left standing the few Hydras left for Dark are able to close out the game, and it's game 1 for the Zerg player. It was a rough beginning for this player in the bottom left hand corner, but it's Oxide now, and he can make up for his mistakes. Playing for Alpha X is a Red Protoss. It is Zoun. And in the top right hand corner instead, playing for Dragon Phoenix Gaming, it is Dark. Currently 1 point ahead in this best of 5. We're back to Oxide. Our comfy old map. Of course, Zoun is going to go for an early arch block. But yeah, nothing too crazy really. Not expecting anything too crazy this time as well. And the only thing I'm curious about, it's how Zoun wants to play this out, because like that build in game number 1 was very interesting. I do feel like gateways were too late. I do feel like he might have overstepped and didn't have enough gates to actually supply his army enough. And in the end, it really worked badly for him, and it went amazingly well for Dark. He was just pumping out units for like 2 minutes in a row. But this is a whole different game. This is still a long series, and Zoun has the time to make up for his mistakes. Especially this game number 2. I do feel like it's most of the time the most important game of a best of 5 series, because it can dictate the difference between a match point and a tie score. And if you're a match point on a 2-1, it's alright. If you're a match point on a 2-0, that's a whole different beast. It becomes incredibly hard for the player who's behind to play the series. And that's why I think that actually the player who wins the second game in a best of 5 is most often the player who's actually getting a good advantage in the rest of the series. But that's a personal opinion. Many players might agree with me, many players might not. See again a Stargate play on the side of Zoun. Not many probes in the natural already. Doesn't really mean too much with Dark taking his third base at a fairly decent time. Of course, the Adept will try to get a scout, maybe get a Crypt Tumor. Yes, it does. And the Shade will not complete, only checking for an early lair. Checking for how many drones are in the Vespian Geyser. And in the end, it's not going to mean much. Oh, that drone is a little bit too exposed, but the Shade's complete nonetheless. Again, an Oracle rallied to the other side of the map. And again, we see the Stargate being just overall a safe play. And one which can deal serious damage if it comes to that. Let's see how this Oracle fares. It's a Void Ray second, just to deny some vision, getting some control on your own side of the map. Oh, Crit Tumor goes down. And it's about to be a couple drones as well. There's no many queens in the third. Of course, the positioning of Dark was nothing short of amazing. And again, it really looks like Dark wants to play this matchup rushing out tech, which is a blast from the past, to be honest. I do find this interesting, but I also do find this extremely vulnerable to Adept play. It looks like Dark is possibly seriously in trouble, because Zoun is going exactly for that. It's not like it's going to be an early Twilight Council Resident in Glaze play. It's going to be on the late side. The Void Ray is still going to deny all of the vision, But the layer is already up by now, and Hydras might not be the best unit against the depths, but they still have a very high DPS. And there's going to be quite a lot of queens already. Yeah, it's going to be charged. Zoun decides against going for the late glaze play. But I would like him to go for a standard glaze play. This build from Dark looks like it's tailored around Zoun not going for that. And while it's looking more than decent against the Stargate play into charge lots, with the roaches coming in just when Dark needs them, it's very vulnerable to some early aggression. Dark has a beautiful economy. Like, don't get this for, oh yeah, Dark is playing this badly. Absolutely not. He took a gamble and he took it correctly, which is more than playing amazing, to be honest. Looks like the Zerg has done his homeworks. Ooh. That's a weird Arcane drop, if you ask me. It's a very expensive Arcane drop. Rocks being cut down by Dark left and right. Right now Dark is in an amazing position. He has so many lanes, so many roaches. Oh my goodness, that might be a bad thing for Dark. His army is so much out of position. There is no sentry right here to stop this, these queens from getting up the ramp. On the other side of the map, a lot of lanes are getting a huge counter-attack. Meanwhile, Adepts in the Nature, what is this mess, guys? The leg goes down. Recall on the Zealots. Word Prism gets out, and the Zealots are in the natural. Dark is in a awful position right now. Losing more and more drones over here. Adepts bringing the fight to Hydras. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, this Nexus is in trouble. There's not much to defend it over here. The Word Prism is flying back home to send these Archons into the fray. But I feel like Zoun is more than glad to take this trade. All these Stalkers, though, are so exposed. They get back in the wall where these shield batteries can keep them alive. There's not many upgrades for Dark. He's trying to deal as much damage as possible, but I feel like this kind of attack may have run out of steam. Like, these Archons are going to absolutely melt through Hydras. The Word Prism is in a little bit of an awkward spot, but here is the Void Ray actually dying for the sins of this Word Prism. Such a weird game this far. Beautiful attack from Zoun and beautiful counter-strike by Dark. In the end, I'll say this again, I do feel like can these Archons get out of there? I don't think they can. Yeah, the Word Prism needs to help them. Yeah, a little bit of a pause. Anyhow, Lurker Dam being dropped on the early side for Dark, which is really needed, especially for defense, since Zoun wants to probably play very aggressive now that he knows he has stopped the tech path that Dark wanted to take by such a huge margin. This is where he gets dropped to defend this third. And again, like, getting that lair, it's such a huge thing. So much damage. Dark is not even getting another one right now. He cannot get even +2 upgrades. Such a bummer for Dark, really. This is almost always the perfect position for the Protoss player to play in. Like, rushing tech is what a Zerg player wants to do if he knows he's going to play against a... I don't know what that is. Against a Roach Hydra heavy comp. Or even just Hydras, really. And Zoun has managed to stop the tech from his opponent, meaning that he cannot get many upgrades, meaning he cannot get Lurker upgrades. And yeah, now this army of Zoun, it might not be high in numbers, but it's still pretty scary to deal with. There's going to be Lurkers, and there is no actual observer with this. Yeah, that is kind of terrible. Does Zoun have a wood prism on the map? It does. He does. Where is it? Does he still have the Oracle? Oh yeah, that one died. But yeah, these lurkers are starting to be... Yeah, there is one observer over here. And there's no overseer because there's no lair. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this observer is just not dying. Oh, a recall? A counter-attack from Dark. Beautiful recall from Zoun, getting only the amount of units he needed for that, but it doesn't really look like he can strike again. And Fleet Beacon, beautiful choice. He knows there's not going to be a lair, a spire, for quite a lot of time. At least not with a lot of units. Spire takes almost 2 minutes to complete. And Zoun's Fleet Beacon is halfway through, second target already started. This might be a beautiful transition. Lurkers can still like overwhelm your defenses if played very aggressively, which is something players like Raynor and several do a lot. But Dark is more of a laid-back player when it comes to these scenarios, which might work in favor of Zoun. This is anybody's game to win, really. Zoun has a huge tech advantage right now, but he's not really making out much out of it. Guardian Shield gets used. Lurkers are in a very good position. Here comes the Zealots charging on top of Lurkers. I don't know about that. Lurkers dealing an insane amount of damage. These lanes trying to get around everything. The Archons, of course, are going to stop them all together. So many storms absolutely melting through the defenses of Dark. But it seems like the Lurkers might have come in clutch. And Zoun might have overstepped. A good trade anyhow, since his Fleet Beacon is going up, and of course with it are the carriers. Not many Lurkers left for defense, and this is a trade that Zoun always wants to get, especially with these Immortals absolutely melting past these Lurkers. Two of them are too well positioned though. Here comes the Charcots trying to clean everything up. I don't know if the Observer is still alive. It does feel like it's not. Another Observer is being made right now. 13 drones have died as well. As no, the base was over here, sorry. As well as a lot of the army of Dark, I suppose. But in the end, Dark is forced to make more of the same. Well, Zoun is stepping up his game plan, getting those carriers out, getting +2 ground weapons, and of course, keeping his High Temperance and Warp Prism alive. Huge trade for Zoun. It might look terrible, like I opened the units lost up and it does look terrible for Zoun, but in the end, it's not like Dark can support much more. His attack though, it's very scary. Beautiful timing. Oh. Anyhow, carriers coming in the battle to try and stop these Hydras from getting the base. Storms are available. Oh my god, that one Dark Templar is a little bit too far from the others. Shield Body Overcharge gets used to keep those alive. Archon being merged right now, and here comes the Storm. Oh my lord. These storms absolutely destroyed the army of Dark. Still, 12 probes falling, and it's damage that Zoun is going to feel. Now the Archons chasing back. Oh my goodness. Alright. Yeah, this is absolutely terrible. Zoun badly needs a 4-base economy. This Warp Prism is going down. Another huge mistake on Zoun's part. But in the end, he defends, and this base is not looking like it can survive. Such a scrappy game from both players, fighting at each other's back every chance they get. This single Lurker, this guy is destroying that base altogether. But Zoun does not care. He's on the aggressive buff, and now with another carrier joining up the fray, he's looking definitely much stronger than Dark is. These Hydras are still in a very good position. Here comes the Storm, forcing a lot of them backwards. 11 drones have fallen. These Archons are tanking up so much damage, but they cannot tank for such a long time. Oh, Hydras start a step in. Immortal is trapped, and that's a lot of kills out of those Hydras. And that is kind of amazing because there's no upgrade for them and there is +2 ground weapons for Zoun. Dark able to play an incredible game while being so behind on tech for the whole duration of it. Just Hydras, Roaches and Lurkers without upgrades. These Lurkers have no Lurker upgrade. That is simply crazy. Zoun looking for the right position to strike, which is not a really easy thing to do, but this is a good moment. Lurkers are still being morphed. Right now though, they're about to finish, and it does look like Dark has enough army to counter this. Zoun was forced to retake his 4th base, which is pretty bad for him. Now it doesn't really look like he can break through the defenses of Dark, who might have stabilized finally after 50 minutes. Oh, Storms being dropped. Yeah, this base is not surviving this. It's going to be cancelled just in time by Dark, but the carriers doing some serious work. Another one of them is being warped in by Zoun, who's also almost finishing this base over here. Finally an infestation pit on the side of Dark. It's going to be probably a 17 minutes hive for the Zerg player. But it was very complicated for him to stabilize. I do feel like Zoun did a couple crucial mistakes in the previous couple minutes. It's still not a bad position for him to be in, to be honest. Like, he still has a lot of storms. He's still going to have fairly decent amount of carriers with upgrades coming in right now. Oh, but yeah, like, once Vipers are out and Lurker upgrades are out and maybe an Evo Chamber gets dropped, oh yeah, it's Infestors upgrades, which is even worse. Like, Zoun is basically on a timer right now. It doesn't have enough economy to get as many units to get to critical mass. So he is on a timer, and I like the thing that he's trying to take a trade here. It's not going to be an easy one. These High Templars are in a beautiful position. They're gonna hide behind those mineral lines and dropping these storms left and right. Doesn't look like these Lurkers have a lot of life left in them. The Hydras cannot get too close. Archon's doing a beautiful job at taking so much damage and allowing these High Templars to drop so many stones. Beautiful play from Dark, saving his Lurkers before they can get too much damage. But these storms are absolutely insane. All of the Hydras are hidden behind that one Vespene geyser because they cannot spread forward. So many High Templars have died to the Lurkers though, and now Dark is marching forward. This might be a dangerous position for both of them. Only the Hydra survive, but there's no interceptors with these carriers. No more storms left. No recall available. And that's the end of the ground army of Zoun. Both players losing so much. But Zoun had the higher tech army. Zoun had the lesser economy. And getting that base might be huge for him, since there is a hive transition, since he has a little bit of a bank. But Dark still has a lot of Hydras left alive. And finally, +1 missile attack is dropping in, attacking this base. This is the most important base. Losing this base might mean game for Zoun, but Dark, he doesn't have enough of this. Simply doesn't. And Zoun takes game number 2. There's really not much happening in this early game. Romanticide is a huge map. You don't want to go for the aggro path. Like, you just don't. Like, there might be a huge ramp you can walk on and then attack on an even plane with the natural. But yeah, like, the natural is also very big, so you just don't want it. It's just too big of a map. Too many difficult positions to walk in. Like right here, and right here. And these are the only paths you can walk through unless you break those rocks. And then again, this is still a ramp. Sorry, it's still a choke point, that's what I meant. Guys, it's difficult. You don't walk in the middle of the map on Romanticide if you're not ready for it. You just don't. And that's why Stargate and Spire are both the best possible choice you can possibly make on this map. Stargate is almost always the best possible choice in this matchup. But to be honest, Spire, while it's rising in popularity as a rush, it's just so good on this map that you cannot really forfeit that. Like, Mutas can do an insane amount of damage and map control on Romanticide. So no Oracle this time, as you can see. It's a Void Ray first. It's going to deny a lot of vision. The Oracle comes right after it. It doesn't really look like Zoun was actively looking to deal some damage. The Void Ray for defense was the safest choice for him. And I do understand this. Especially with the Oracle coming second, just mostly for scouting. I don't think this Oracle will be able to get more than just one drone. Zoun is the kind of player who will try to drop maybe a stasis word. But yeah, like, this is not going to deal an insane amount of damage. There's a Void Ray and two that's flying out at the same time. Well, yeah, that's not really flying, but yeah, you get what I mean. The Stargate is done as well, and yeah, this is a weird spot. The Void Ray needs to fly out of there immediately. The Adepts do not complete the shade. The Oracle manages to get two drones. That was incredibly messy. And in the end, it happened exactly what would have happened if only the Oracle was flying out. So it put up some pressure, but yeah, it didn't sacrifice his Adepts for nothing, which is good. The Void Ray survived, which is good. And he honestly got a lot of scouting information. This beautiful revelation being dropped. He's going to see exactly when the lair finishes. It is a very good piece of information that Zoun will need. But then again, Dark is just going for more of the same. And Zoun is the one trying to mix things off, even just slightly changing his build. It's still going to be a +1 ground weapons and most likely a charge upgrade. 2 Void Rays. It's more similar to the first game of this series, which didn't end up so great for Zoun, to be honest. But it is indeed an interesting build. One we have started to see a little bit more lately, but we didn't really see much. The revelation gets dropped, and again gets some piece of information. It's going to see not much really, but this Oracle is still overall collecting incredibly important pieces of information. Getting to see this Hydroden again is very big, but the Oracle falls for it, which is not that good, especially since it was the only Oracle, and Lurkers might be a problem sooner rather than later. There is a Robo incoming, and there are 6 gateways, 7 gateways. Yeah, Zoun wants to play a little bit more aggressive again, and this time Dark will not make the same mistake twice. Infestation Pit gets dropped just slightly earlier, and Zoun is ready to answer that because this time he's going to drop down the Robo Bait. I love how these players are just slightly, just the most likely possible way, changing their build orders, and it's such a significant change for both of them. This might even be Swarmox play from Dark. I don't think it is because he didn't drop out 1,000,000 overloads and he's not saving up 1,000,000 resources, but it might have been even that. And honestly, I wouldn't even mind that, actually. It's a high brush, which is more than I was asking, really. I absolutely love how these two players are changing so much of their own build. Dark this time doesn't feel content with just his Hydras, and he's going to rush that Lurker, then he's going to rush the Hive to get those upgrades as fast as possible. The answer is here for Zoun. Double Void Ray, charge lots, so many charge lots. There's a Tempo Archives out already, right? Yes, it is. And of course, the double Disruptor just outmaneuver the army of Dark. I absolutely love this. Both players are in such a good position, they're not really distracted each other. So the Zerg player can be considered slightly ahead since he was able to rush tech and get a good economy without his opponent doing much about it. But Zoun has changed so much compared to game number 1. I think he learned from his mistakes and he's ready to make up for them. The army of Dark though is still very strong, very much in a good position, and it's very difficult to work on this map. As I said earlier, Nidus network is exactly what I was looking for the Zerg player. Of course, Zoun will take a couple of roaches, not much more than that. These Disruptors are desperately looking for a chance to drop their Purification Novas and deal a ton of damage, but of course these are just right in position, they move quickly on creep and they're just gonna retreat before they can get any serious damage. Lurker upgrades have been started, it's very difficult to walk after that ramp, you don't want to do that, Zoun, but of course this base is very exposed. A huge round might have been in the setup for Dark, and here it comes. This is a difficult position for both players. Of course, these Disruption Novas are hitting a lot of the army of Dark, but in the end, the Blue Zerg just has slightly more than enough. These Disruptors not hitting the jackpot they were looking for. Void Rays left for the retreat, and now the rest of the army of Zoun is sent scattering with a tail between their legs. Oh yeah, Lurker upgrade, boys. That is the single most important thing that changed in Dark's build, and I absolutely love it. Still, Disruptors are going to be pumped out at a fairly consistent time. And Zoun is already getting a lot of them, and is very good at using them, as we've seen in the past. Of course, Dark is almost at an unbreakable position, almost maxed out. He will start to build up a lot of bank, and with a Nidus play, he can start to deal damage all over the map, especially with this bad boy flying over here. Oh, but it looks like Zoun doesn't want to stop his own aggression, sending Zealots in the main while the rest of the army collapses here on this undefended base. Now Lurkers have range. Oh my goodness, so many Purification Novas, they're not gonna hit much. Beautiful dodge by Dark, prioritizing its Lurker upgrades above anything else, and now +3 missile attack is incoming as well. This is not looking pretty for Zoun at all. He's getting good upgrades, he's getting a Fleet Beacon, a second Stargate, but yet Dark is such a strong army. He's seriously thinking about placing these Nidus left and right. This Overseer is just slightly outside of vision, and now Dark hitting on this side, ready to drop a Nidus in the main. Here it comes, the army of Zoun a little bit out of position. These Purification Novas are not hitting as many Lurkers as they want to. Finally, a good one drops down, and it's a lot. Zealot counter attack here and here, doing a lot of damage, but there are Lurkers in the main of Zoun. What is this game, everybody? I don't think there is any coming back from this though. These Lurkers are going to absolutely destroy everything, and Lurkers here at the 4th base of Zoun are hardly winning the fight. By hardly I mean they are hard winning the fight. So it's going to be game 3 in favor of Dark. What a beautiful game it was. I would actually feel very surprised if Zoun decided to go for something more aggressive than he was. But I still feel like the Glaive of that build might really put Dark in trouble, considering how he is playing this series. Like, this far, all 3 of the games, he played a build, rushing the lair, that was incredibly vulnerable to adepts. do see a Robo before anything else. This is interesting. Robo, no Twilight. What are we watching, guys? Is it going to be just the Stalkers in a Warp Prism to just deal a little bit of damage? That is a little bit of a plus from the past, but color me impressed, because this is definitely not what I was expecting. I love that you don't play Stargate on this map, since it's such a huge bait to play Stargate on here. Everything important is on the low ground, and there is really not many ways to get in the main base of your opponent. Like these inhibitor zones are just too hard to deal with, and it's a Robobay rush. Disruptor drop is my guess, and I love this. I absolutely love this. It might not be the Glavidat build I was expecting, but it still is going to hurt Dark a little bit. This time he has Roaches out. Roaches do not kill Disruptors that fast, and these mineral lines are going to be very exposed to a very fast Warp Prism flying around. Maybe even 2 Warp Prisms flying around, why not? And Dark this time is not gonna drop that lair. It is a Disruptor drop indeed. And yeah, I love this. It is so cute from Zoun. This is something that only him can make work, really. Like, we've seen this done by many players and never really did anything, but Zoun is the kind of player who can make this work, really. There's quite a lot of overload spread around for Dark, so he's gonna see this Warp Prism coming. But that's why you get the speed upgrade, because they can come in very fast. And now even Adepts are sent out, trying to deal some damage. The first Disruptor is almost out, but now it's time for the Adepts to try and scare down Dark into thinking this is something different. But indeed, he sees this Warp Prism. He's going to zoom around and he's going to recall the beautiful play, not showing that he has speed. Now he sees the Disruptors though. The wall was open. A little bit of a huge mistake on the side of Zoun, who actually also recalled for this. It was not only a play to not show his Warp Prism speed, and now there are Zerglings in the main, and that's always not good. They get a single probe, which is not much, but it's still going to slow down Zoun like quite a lot. The Colossus is incoming, but so is the Disruptor drop. There are Queens in position to deal with this. Both Purification Novas completely whiff. And now Dark safely getting that lair. He's feeling calm and collected. And this Warp Prism has enough bruises on it. It can no longer fly uncontested. Ravager's looking for the Warp Prism to drop down those piles. Zoun will try to play around that. And actually this army is fairly strong. 2 sentries, a Colossus, 2 Disruptors. I mean, there's not really much for defense. These Queens are in an awful spot. One of them gets badly bruised. You're gonna need to transfuse that. And now Zoun is working on creep. Many lanes being made at a single time. This Colossus does not have thermal lance. And the Disruptors are still going to deal so much damage to the Queens. The most important unit for defense that Dark has out right now, zoning out with Purification Novas left and right. I think there's a little bit of a cooldown to work around for Zoun, but it's almost already coming off, and now these Colossus can really deal a lot of punishing. Guardian Shield helping these huge Deathbolt staying alive, and it's now time for the Purification Novas. Here it comes. Cooldown is out. First one is a very good one, and the second one, oh yeah, that was also pretty good. Here comes the surround for Dark. The Warp Prism is a little bit too exposed. The Purification Novas are almost out of cooldown. This Warp Prism is going down more Stalkers being warped in at this position. It looks like Dark is losing a lot of economy. He's losing a lot of drones. But in the end, it's looking like he can clear this out. It's going to be close. Only the Stalkers left standing and the Disruptors. The Warp Prism is no longer dead and no longer there. And it really looks like Zoun has to retreat. These Stalkers, even without Blink, they're so elusive, so difficult to catch. And here comes another Purification Nova, and it's another 2 Queens down. And it might be a third one as well. Stalkers deal bonus damage against armored units. They can bring the fight to these Roaches. Even if they're not that great of a unit, in these low numbers, they can still deal punishing, especially with the safety of a Disruptor ready to drop down Purification Novas. Dark is in an awful spot right now. These Stalkers marching forward. They will try to get one single Queen. That Queen is very exposed. Again, Purification Nova is out of cooldown right now. So the Disruptor can protect these Stalkers by forcing the units of Dark out of this fight. And here it comes. A couple of Roaches caught by this Disruptor who has 13 kills. And yeah, the economy of Dark is nowhere as good as the one of Zoun. Here comes the Colossus, more Stalkers brought into the fight. It's only Ravagers, Stalkers dodging these vials the old way without Blink. There's only one Disruptor, only one Warp Prism, only one Colossus. But man, do these key units matter? Purification Novas hitting a really significant amount of units, and when they don't, it's just zone out power in which these Stalkers can deal free damage. Ravager Vials are doing kind of the same work, but in the end the army of Zoun just looks significantly bigger than the one of Dark. It's a battle between Vials and Novas, but here the control that Zoun has on his army is just outstanding. And Dark is going to face again Guardian Shield on so many units. It's so hard to break past this. Beautiful control by Zoun, beautiful splits. He's only a couple Ravagers sold out by the Purification Nova, and it's game number 4 for Zoun. Again, an Hatch block. And Juggernaut is huge, so it really isn't going to matter. There's just no way to punish this. It's just too much distance, really. Too much time before you can get anything significant. But Juggernaut being a big map doesn't mean players nowadays are not trying to play this aggressively, especially Protoss players. Since it's not very difficult to walk in a spot in which you can contest the wall. Well, not the wall, I guess, there, of course. You can contest the natural, most likely. There's a lot of ways, like there's a ramp very far in even acceleration zones for retreat. Like, Juggernaut being a huge map does not stop players to actually go ham on the aggression sometimes. And we've seen Zoun pull out an incredible amount of pressure in game number 4. And it really worked out his way even after a not very decent trade. He still managed to control his army perfectly, and that's where his strength lies. So that's what I want to see more out of him. But we're going to see. Dark is still an amazing player. He can defend against pretty much anything. And Zoun needs to catch him with his pants down twice, which is not easy. So it might be just a Stargate. It's not a Stargate. It's not a Stargate. And I absolutely love this. Zoun playing pretty much more of the same, I guess. Warp Prism speed really does a lot of work on these bigger maps, especially with a lot of distance, mainly between the natural and the third, as much as airspace is concerned. Not a lot of dead airspace though, so there's not a lot of places to hide the Warp Prism except that for here. And Dark probably knows that, so that's why he's gonna park an overload over there as soon as he can possibly do that. Interesting. Interesting to see this play twice in a row. Dark again going for the Roach Warren this time. Is not going to be caught with his pants down if it gets to Resonating Glaze Adepts, which is not. But it's always good to be safe against those kind of builds, especially in a game number 5 of a series. Especially if it's do or die, if it's win or get eliminated in this run of 16. Alright, Warp Prism finishes, and so does the Robo Bay. Warp Prism speed gets started, and so does the Disruptor. Everything perfectly on time for Zoun, and Dark not really managing to get a good scouting. Of course, these 4 adepts, again, cool, very much PTL. And Zoun this time has a Stalker on the wall, blocking lanes getting in, as they did in game number 4, because that could have been a game-ending mistake. Adepts getting in the third base, there's not much for defense over here. Actually, these adepts might get a significant amount of damage. These lanes are trying to do their best, and Zoun will be very happy at thinning their numbers. Same with these adepts with beautiful micro control. This guy is just so incredible at controlling his army. Recall gets used. He has his Disruptor out. He has Warp Prism speed out, and he's ready to move with his 2 Disruptors and zoom through the map. With 5 more gateways incoming, a Colossus incoming to stop these links from getting any significant damage. The wall is well defended, and now the Warp Prism is flying out. Oh my goodness, Purification Novas are gonna hit just a single queen. Still a little bit of damage. Nothing to really frown upon. On the other side, this is the most important thing, really. Zoun ready to move out. He's waiting for his Colossus to join the fray. His Disruptor play is still out. The Warp Prism warping in 2 Stalkers. And we're back at it, guys. Do or die with this amazing build from Zoun. The Army of Dark this time is in a little bit of a better position. Purification Nova gets used to stop that cocoon from completing. Another queen gets badly bruised. Beautiful surround coming from Dark, but beautiful force squids as well. Or might it be not actually, because the lanes have got in. And this is such a huge blow to Zoun's attack from Dark. The Disruptors are safe. But the Warp Prism, can you say the same about it? Yes, you can. The Colossus falls down. Purification Nova is out of cooldown right now, and it's going to hit a couple queens. One of them falls, and the Stalkers are trying to catch up with them to get even another kill, and they will get another kill. Warp Prism still alive to fuel this attack. Dark still has a lot of units out, is pumping out nothing but lanes and roaches. Lots of Ravagers out as well. No sentries with these army right now. Purification Nova gets in so many Ravagers, but the lanes have got in position, and now the Ravager can really boil down anything in the middle. Beautiful defense from Dark, and this time it is looking rough for Zoun. Very rough. He saves his Disruptors, but not much more than that. Actually, nothing but that. He does not have a third base. Dark is probably looking to get a 4th one very soon, and Zoun needs to do something about it. This Disruptor being out is still stopping Dark from moving out the map and ending the game, but there is a Spire coming in. Against this Spire, there's nothing Zoun can do. Zoun is on a timer. This attack needs to finish the game. When you all lane, don't forget to all lane. Cedortosis, once upon a time. And Zoun is looking for the 2nd strike of this army. Does he have enough? We're going to find out, but it certainly looks like he does not. Again, Dark looking for surround. The lanes on the right, and the Ravagers diving on top of everything. The Disruptor needs to get out of there. The Purification Nova doesn't hit much. Yeah, just one Ravager. And here comes the Ravagers and the Roaches forcing Zoun back. It's only the Stalkers and not much more. One Disruptor falls, The other gets barely saved. But man, this is not looking pretty. 6 more Stalkers. Zoun pulling out every single thing he can with this last push. But it's not looking great. Purification Nova does not hit what it should have. And Zoun calls the GG. The series goes in favor of Dark.